They found the bones stacked, 5 deep, in unlined desert pits. Children, most between 7 and 15. Spines fractured from compression. Joints worn down by osteoarthritis before they ever reached adulthood. No grave goods, no names, no dignity. For decades, the history books called this a plague, a natural disaster that forced an empire to abandon its own city. They're wrong. I'm Heather. I've seen the evidence. This is the case file of Akhenaten. These bones were found beneath a city called Amarna, and Amarna was supposed to be paradise. Akhenaten built it as a sun-drenched utopia in the middle of a barren desert. Open-air temples, white limestone walls, relief carvings of the royal family kissing their daughters under solar rays. The official story was joy, light, and a new relationship with the divine. But the bones underneath tell a different story. Between 2024 and 2026, paleopathologists analyzed nearly 900 skeletal remains from the Amarna cemeteries. What they found dismantled the epidemic theory completely. No mass burial events, no signs of panic, almost zero traces of infectious disease. Instead, the evidence pointed to forced child labor on an industrial scale, compression fractures from carrying heavy loads, osteoarthritis in teenagers, bodies in perfectly standardized, orderly, textile-wrapped rows. Biology doesn't bury bodies in neat rows. A virus doesn't selectively harvest your youngest workforce. This wasn't a tragedy of nature. This was a blueprint. So who built this paradise? And why does it sit on a mass grave? To understand that, you have to understand what Akhenaten was running from. For 3,000 years, Egypt operated on a collaborative network of gods. The crown and the temples shared power. But over 2 centuries, one network had grown too powerful. The priesthood of Amun-Ra at Thebes. Vast tax-exempt estates, control over succession, a virtual state within a state, actively threatening the throne. He didn't build Amarna because he had a vision. He built it because he was running. Akhenaten rides a gold and silver electrum chariot into a barren desert bay, 180 miles north of Thebes, a virgin site belonging to no god, no elite family, and no power structure he hasn't sanctioned. At sunrise, he looks at the high limestone cliffs. There's a natural gap where the plateau dips into a valley. As the sun disk rises between those 2 peaks, it forms the hieroglyph Akhet, the horizon. Akhenaten claims a divine monopoly. The Aten chose this site for him alone. He carves 16 boundary stelae into the cliffs, swearing he will never expand beyond these markers. He has found his paradise. And to build this capital in under 5 years, his architects invent a completely new building technology, the talatat block. Exactly 1 royal cubit long and about 50 kilograms, a single laborer can carry one on their shoulder. And that's not an accident. That's the point. When your building blocks are light enough for 1 person to carry, you don't need skilled masons. You need bodies. You need hands. You need children who can work from dawn to dusk in the desert sun. The city walls shoot up out of the dust at an unprecedented, terrifying pace. And underneath them, the graves fill up just as fast. But look past the grand roofless solar courts. Look past the intimate reliefs of the royal family under the solar rays. The pristine facade was a total illusion. Walk into the small mud brick houses of the common laborers. In the dark shadows of their private rooms, you find hidden figurines of Bes and Tawret, the ancient protective household deities. The state could control the public squares, but it couldn't rewrite the private hearts of its people. Aten worship was reserved for the royal family. The people, in turn, had to worship them. Worse, the empire outside was bleeding. In the royal archives, scribes are filing the Amarna letters, desperate diplomatic correspondence, vassal rulers in the Levant screaming for military help. Reb Hada of Byblos writes dozens of frantic letters.
I am like a bird in a cage,
she says. Akhenaten responds with silence, calculated neglect. The balance of power shatters. Egypt's allies fall. Hostile empires expand unchecked. He built a paradise on the bones of children and ignored the empire crumbling around him. That's not a vision, that's an obsession. In his 17th regnal year, Akhenaten dies, and with his death, Amarna dies too. The revenge begins. His successors, Tutankhamun, Horemheb, the Ramesside kings, declare his entire lineage structurally toxic. Total damnatio memoriae. In official records, his name was outlawed. He was referred to only as the enemy or that criminal. They didn't smash his city. Even worse, they recycled it. And here's where the talatat blocks become the most poetic evidence in this entire case. Those light, portable, modular stones that let Akhenaten build his utopia so fast, they became the exact weapon used to erase him. Subsequent pharaohs systematically dismantled every open-air temple and palace at Amarna. They packed those stones onto barges, shipped them back to the traditional temples, and shoved them into the dark internal spaces of massive new pylons. Akhenaten's entire solar revolution was crushed and turned into hidden structural fill. His revolution literally became the foundation of the very gods he had tried to destroy. You can build a city out of desert sand. You can declare yourself the sole voice of the divine and rewrite the visual language of an entire civilization. But absolute top-down autocracy cannot erase the collaborative traditions of the people. And it cannot sustain a society built on the systematic exploitation of its youth. The old narrative said a plague destroyed Amarna, that the people fled in panic and chaos. Except the archaeological record proved the city was vacated systematically, gradually, orderly. People packed their belongings and walked away. They didn't flee from a virus. They abandoned a lie. They tried to hide Akhenaten's memory in the pitch-black center of temple walls. But 3,000 years later, the pylons cracked open. The talatat blocks were found. They tried to make him a blank space in the king lists. Instead, they made him the most fascinating criminal in ancient history. I'm Heather, and this case file is still open because the bones tell one story and the temples tell another. Which do you believe? Plague or a construction deadline written in bone? Drop your verdict below. See you next time on Uncomplicated Explains.